welcome back meteorology students. Lab 5. So Lab 5 is very much a follow-up to Lab 4. We're dealing with synoptic weather symbols again in weather maps. So a lot of the same stuff. The only difference with this lab is now we're focusing on those present weather symbols. Whereas the first lab we're just dealing with all the other stuff around the synoptic weather symbols. Now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty, what I think is really kind of the cool part, and those are the present weather symbols. Let's just jump right into it. So we are focusing again on, our example here, and what we didn't get into is the symbol that you're going to see directly to the left of your center circle, your cloud cover. And again, that's E, that's your present weather symbol. And we have a whole list of tables to help us with that. There are 100 different symbols that represent virtually any kind of weather you could possibly imagine can be represented by these symbols. And it can be a little daunting at first when you're looking at these, but there are some trends. And so one of the things that I give you in your handout is a table that shows you these different trends. And I think if you could learn the trends, it makes learning the rest of the symbols a bit easier. So let's jump into it. So basically it works like this. There are tables that you have that show all these symbols, and again, it gets a little daunting. But if you look at your trend guide here, again, there's some things that can help you. For example, if you see a comma has something to do with drizzle. Comma means drizzle. So whatever symbols you have, if you see something that has a comma in it, you know that it has something to do with drizzle. Similarly, with the period. Period, this simple little circle, means rain. That means if you see a period or a little circle like that associated with a weather symbol, it has something to do with rain. If you see something that looks like a little asterisk, it looks a little bit like a snowflake, that means the symbol has something to do with snow. And in general, the more of those symbols you see, the more or heavier the precipitation and the more continuous it is. So for example, if you see more than just one comma symbol, it means you have more drizzle, or heavier drizzle, or more continuous. Same thing with rain, same thing with the snow. Okay? So again, anytime you see those symbols, you know it has something to do with, again, either drizzle, rain, or snow. You have your mist symbol here, you have snow pellets, you have your thunderstorm a symbol here as well. Anytime you see something that looks like this, it's a thunderstorm. It has something to do with the thunderstorm. There are many versions of this, because there's many different things thunderstorms can do, but anytime you see that base symbol here, it has something to do with a thunderstorm. The S you see here is a dust or sandstorm. So anytime you see that, it has something to do with a dust or sandstorm. Things like that. So those are sort of some of the base symbols, many different combinations of them, but again, that's the trend you can think of that sort of makes it a little less daunting when you're looking at this, this 100 different weather symbols. Then we have what I call modifiers, and these are things that truly can modify an existing symbol. So for example, a triangle like this means shower. And a shower, just as a meteorological term, just means a sudden onset of that precipitation. So if you see a shower symbol with the rain symbol above it, that means a rain shower. Right? So you're combining the rain symbol with the shower symbol. Things like that. This little bracket here that you see, anytime you see this little bracket, this means during the previous hour, but not at the time of observation. That means at that weather station, they observed whatever this weather is, but in the previous hour, but not at that exact moment when they were making the observation. So for example, if we take our rain symbol, our rain shower symbol here, we put a bracket next to it, that means rain shower within the last hour, but not at time of observation. Right? So you're combining your shower, your rain, and your during the previous hour symbol. Things like that. This little squiggly line here means freezing precipitation. Well, what kind? Well, if you see a drizzle symbol, that means it is freezing drizzle. If you see a period here, it means it's going to be freezing rain. If you see two of them, that means it's more. So in this case, this would be a freezing rain, moderate or heavy amount. So again, a lot of those kind of similar trends that you're going to see throughout these different symbols. And if you can kind of get the trend, like I've said many times, it just makes understanding the whole 100 weather symbols a lot easier. Now the weather symbols are here. This is again basically a version from your handout, very similar to it. The symbols are numbered and they're grouped by vaguely similar types of weather. So dust storms, sandstorms, mist, fog, thunder. These are the previous hour symbols. These are your dust storm, sandstorm symbols. Your fog and mist kind of things here. You've got your drizzle, your rain, your snow and ice, your showers, your thunderstorms, and then a different set of symbols for your past weather. So past weather only has 10 symbols. We try to simplify that a bit. So a lot of symbols, but like I said, if you learn the general trends, I think it does make it a bit easier when you're trying to learn these. And combine that with the rest of the things that we talked about in the last lab, there's a lot of information you can pack into a relatively small space. And again, the reason we do that is we try to represent these on maps, and we're trying to represent as much as we can in as small a space as possible. If you're trying to write out, rain shower during the last hour, that just takes up too much space. Do a nice little symbol, and you can compact that nice and small. So, like I said, we're following a lot of what we did in last week's lab, again with temperature and all these other things that we looked at last time. But what we focus on this lab, or what's new with this lab, is the current and present weather symbols. That's what we're kind of focusing in on, as well as everything else. So this lab, we're kind of putting the whole complete package of synoptic weather symbols together. Eventually, in a different lab a little bit later on, we're going to start looking at these weather symbols and doing a little more interpretation of what the actual weather is, do a little weather prediction, look at fronts and things like that. But we'll do that in a few weeks. But this is a good introduction to these synoptic weather symbols. So, any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you soon.